Welcome to Just Relationships, the show that offers you concrete ways to make your relationships better. Whether it's your boss, your spouse, your children, or your friends, the quality of your relationships in life directly affects how you feel about yourself and the success you achieve. Your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer, a psychotherapist, telecoach, author, and seminar leader, will interview top experts to help you learn to manage this essential part of your life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer.
Greetings to you. Do you love having children around? Do you love seeing the world through their eyes? Does it make you feel younger, more exuberant, playful? Well, if so, or if you would like a child in your life, I'm sure there are plenty around you can build a relationship with. I am very pleased to introduce to you Allen Klein, who is the author of the book Secrets Kids Know That Adults Oughta Learn. Enrich your life by viewing it through the eyes of a child. And Allen Klein is the author of several books. He is known traditionally as a humorist, and now we are looking at going into more philosophical questions, the whole idea of what is one's attitude in life and how that totally impacts their life. Welcome, Allen Klein.
Thank you. It is rather so great to be here again. Appreciate it.
Allen, I think this is like your fourth time, at least, on Just Relationships.
Well, I've stopped counting, so I just enjoy the moment here with you.
Enjoy the moment, and we've known each other for well over 20 years, and it's always such a pleasure to talk to you and hear your latest contribution to the world.
How can that be? You're only 19.
I know, isn't it? Well, you see, because I looked so much through the eyes of a child that I became a child myself.
Oh, right.
Right, which is what you teach people, really, when we look at the positive qualities of children, and they have naturally what we had naturally, what we are born with, but somehow we forgot.
Yeah,
right?
I teach adults to grow down because we've all been taught to grow up.
Yes.
And then we grow up, and then we wonder, wait a minute, I'm not having any fun. The world is too serious.
The world is yeah. And there's
growing up, we were in fact told by teachers and parents to settle down, get serious, wipe that smirk off your face, and suddenly we did, and now we're wondering, why am I enjoying life anymore? So,
and
through this book, I hope to teach people, adults, to grow down and look at the world through the eyes of a child.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking of, there's a new T-shirt out that is something like, I'm tired adulting today. No more adulting today. So adulting is like grim. It's too much. It's too much responsibility. It can be absolutely overwhelming.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean we don't take things seriously. I mean, we can, but we need to lighten up about it, perhaps, like kids do.
Like kids do.
You know, I learned this from my daughter, who, I hate to say this, but she's, part of it's joyous. I don't like that. Her age makes me look really old, because I am. She just turned 50.
Wow.
And
a child who is 50, Allen. Yes. Yes.
So but everything I learned about growing down, actually I learned from her, because we are still so playful. She taught me, keeps teaching me about love. The book came about because I remember when she was a teenager, a young teenager, I was writing my first book, The Healing Power of Humor, and she would interrupt me all the time. And I had a deadline. It was my first book. I didn't know how long it would take, and so I was really getting angry. Sarah, stop annoying me. And so one day she kept annoying me, and I put a big sign on my office door that said, Sarah, do not disturb unless it's an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 minutes later, I hear a knock on the door, and I'm furious,
Yeah.
Yes, Sarah, what do you want? Is this an emergency? She says, yes, it's an emergency. I've got to tell you something. I open the door. Yes, Sarah, what is it? She said, Dad, I want to tell you I love you.
Very clever.
But,
and
kids
you melted,
are loving, they're
right?
compassionate.
And you melted.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course, of course.
Of course I melted. But it also taught me that, here I am writing about humor, and I'm taking myself too seriously.
Right. Isn't that ironic?
And I had to learn that from a child.
Yep. We learn so much from children, their sense of wonder and amazement, and you have all of these sections in your book, all of these secrets. So after all these years, Allen, you decided to write a book about children, and what brought that on?
Well, just remember that incident with my daughter. Also, just realizing every time I'm around children, I giggle more.
Yes.
I smile more.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Hold on.
Okay.
Cell phone's fun in the middle of a radio show?
Yes. So I will.
Okay, shut it off.
Okay. I was going to say that my grandchildren do that for me, and I immediately become more playful, and I see things through their eyes. I'm excited about nature. I'm excited about a leaf. I'm excited about an acorn, which, frankly, as an adult, I could care less about leaves and acorns. But when I explain to my grandson, this is a seed and it makes an oak tree, and I show him how to take that little cap off the acorn, it's just revisiting childhood. It's revisiting that sense of wonder. So, yes, right. I know, and I imagine every parent and grandparent that's listening knows this. If they're willing to grow down and get to that level again.
Yeah, you can see the world totally differently, and the more magic in the world. As you're saying that, you bring up a fabulous memory for me. We used to live in New York City, but we'd go away to the country every summer, and when I'd find an acorn, take the top off, dig it out a little, put at that time, lollipop sticks were wooden, put a little hole in the acorn, and make this fake pipe.
Oh, wow.
I hadn't thought about that in ages.
Wow, so you take a lollipop stick?
And
you make a I see. Right, and you make a fake pipe. Oh, that is great. I'm definitely going to show that to my grandson and granddaughter.
Yeah, and one of the things that illustrates, and I talk about that in my book, is how creative kids are. For them, everything's a toy. I mean, my plane was late. All the adults were fuming, like 3 hours late. I'm watching these two kids. They take out their little cars and buses and trucks, put them on the carpet, and use the pattern in the carpet like they're highways.
Right.
And they were playing for hours and being joyous.
Right. And their natural stance is play. And it's what the young of any species does, is they play.
Right. Exactly.
That's their work. That's how they learn. That's what they do. They play.
Right. And that is the way adults can learn, too, I think.
Yes.
When we're stuck with a problem or something at work that we can't quite solve, play with it and see what happens.
Right. Right. And
because you become more creative. I have a wonderful story in the book about a teacher who went into a high school and put a dot on the blackboard, put a dot and asked the students in high school what that was, and most of them said, "Oh, that was a dot."
Mm-hmm.
And then she went in a kindergarten class, and she got all these great answers of what the dot on the blackboard was, like a dog seen from the top of the Empire State Building.
Oh, my word.
Things like that.
Oh, my goodness. So
it shows us that maybe our creativity starts to go out of us as we get older, because teachers often will put it. I remember I wrote a poem in school, grade school, and I was so proud. I was just so happy. And then the teacher came over and said, "Alan, that's not a good poem. It doesn't rhyme."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like suddenly my creation was destroyed. And do you think I wanted to write a poem ever again? No.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's amazing how adults can be so discouraging to children and not even know what they're doing, and
right.
that matters to a child.
Right.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
I wish adults would know their impact on children, and I wish that adults would know their impact on other adults, and I wish children would know their impact on other children and adults.
Yeah.
Yes, there's so much here. So what would you, if you had to say one thing, what do you think is the most important thing children can teach adults?
Well, I don't know what the most important. I think the example of my daughter and Dad, I Love You story is that kids can teach us to be loving and kind and compassionate.
Right.
But I think if there was another one, maybe of equal value, is that to kids, the world is abundant. And maybe the reason I'm attached to that right now is because I'm thinking about writing the next book on abundance.
Oh, really?
But for kids, think of it. Kids, the sky's the limit, right?
Yes.
It's why can't I have that?
Right.
For them, they could have the whole toy store,
Yes.
Everything is available. Everything is possible. One young girl, she was in the zoo with her mom, and they were looking at animals and having a conversation, and the mom asked her daughter, what would you like to be when you grow up? And the little girl said, I want to be a nurse. And the mom said, just because you're a woman, you don't have to be a nurse. You can be whatever you want. And the little girl thought for a little longer, and she said, great, I want to be a camel.
Oh, that is funny.
They could be anything they want.
Right.
I have another story. It's a man took his daughter to work, take your child to work day, and he's a reporter, and other reporters came over to her and said, what would you like to be, dear? Would you like to be a reporter like your dad? And she said, no. I want to be a dancer, clown, doctor who drives bulldozers.
Oh, jeez. No limits. No limits. Wow.
And I think the world is like that. If only adults tap into that there really is no limits in the world, that we are the ones that limit ourselves.
Yes. And we limit ourselves through the world limiting us. And I think that's a major reason to travel and to visit other cultures, because we can't help being culture bound, and especially when we only know our own culture, that is taken for granted reality. And just to literally experience how other people do things so differently, see things so differently, have so many words for snow when we have like 2 or 3.
Right. Would you tell that to my brother? He will not leave this country.
Oh, really?
I want him to see the world, and he won't leave this country. Well, maybe he's been in Mexico, but that's as close as Mexico.
It. Well, luckily we have great travel logs that explain so much of the world.
Right. Yeah.
If we really pay attention to them, we can learn from them. I have come to appreciate movies on set. What is it called? On site. Oh, what is it called when you're in you're actually